Good afternoon, gentlemen. Congratulations on being selected as Springwoods High School defensive ends. This brief video will be an overview of what is expected of you on the football field. The outline of this booklet is going to follow the steps of what we have termed SACR. That's stance, alignment, key, and responsibility. This will ensure that you know how to line up, where to line up, who you're supposed to be looking at as the play begins, and what your job is once the play is underway. We'll take a look at the inside cover of the booklet, and you'll see our Springwoods High School football core values. They are, to be honest, staying away from drugs and alcohol, not stealing, treating others with respect, especially women, being a positive and productive citizen, knowing that academics are important, and developing a strong work ethic. Now, as we move into the first page, we move to the S part of SACR. That's the stance, which refers to our body position. Your feet should not be too wide or too narrow, but shoulder width apart. Your outside foot should be slightly back, so it should be heel to instep. Our hands should not be on our thigh pads, but should be held in front of the body, ready to strike, and we use them aggressively when we're lined up against a tight end or anybody coming at us. The upper body is in a forward-leaning athletic stance. Moving on to the next page, we are on to alignment. We will cover the basics of the numbering. We'll cover how a two-man side looks, how a three-man side looks, talking about players on the field, and also trips when we're talking about receivers. Basics of numbering. There are, first of all, gaps. These gaps would be the A gap, B gap, C gap, and D gap. As a defensive end, you are a D gap player. That's from the tight end all the way out to the sideline. So we have a large gap responsibility. That's because we are contained. There are also techniques which talk about how you're supposed to line up, where, what alignment. Starting from the center, it's a 0 technique, straight in the middle, and then working its way out. It's a 2 technique, is head up on a guard, 4 technique is head up on a tackle, and 6 technique is head up on a tight end. We line up in what's called a 9 technique. We are outside shade, outside eye of a tight end. The number system, so that would be a 9 technique in our number system. Alright, moving down on the two-man side, so we count from the center, there's 1 man, 2 man. So in that case, we are in what is called walk away, and we are 4 yards by 4 yards off the line. When, however, you have a 3-man side, that as in this situation, 1, 2, 3, we are in 9 technique. That's where our foot is splitting that tight end's crotch, and we make sure we hit him aggressively with our hands at the start of the play. When you have trips, so if this end were on this side, he has 1 man, 2 men, so he is not on the line. He would normally be in walk away, 4 by 4. However, because there are trips and we start counting receivers from the sideline, so it's number 1 receiver, number 2 receiver, and number 3 receiver, we are outside of the number 3 receiver. Our responsibility still hasn't changed. We still have number 1, but we'll get to that on the responsibility pages of this booklet. So this is alignment. Next, we cover the key, which is who we are supposed to be looking at when the play is beginning. If you're on the 2-man side, we're back in walk away. We're looking through the tackle's shoulder to the backfield. We're watching what's happening. What is the play developing into? When you're on the 3-man side, and we say 3-man side instead of just the tight end because sometimes they can line up an end over, but we count 1, 2, 3 men, so we're up on the line, foot splitting his crotch. We immediately engage him with our hands. We hit him. We're looking through his outside to the backfield once again to see what is developing. Excuse me. As we are looking at the backfield, one of the things we read is the quarterback. If the quarterback immediately turns and starts running out, we're thinking run, and we work up to the line of scrimmage. If the quarterback opens diagonally and works out, we're not sure whether it's run or pass. We don't go until we know what it is. We read step, and then by the time we've read step, we know what's happened. If he opens up and drops back immediately, we're reading pass. We read step still, and then we open our hips and drop to pass coverage. Whether it's run or pass, we do the same two read steps at the beginning of every play. Read step diagonally, and we are a run first player, so we're always read stepping as we are watching what they're doing. That's why it's called a read step. We step as we're reading what's happening. When we are in walk away, if you get an outside block, we're going to work up. So there would be a tackle here that he's engaged with. We work up. And if it's inside flow, we can work inside the tackle. However, as you note down here at number 2, we are still a contained player. So we will not go until they have committed inside. We sit on the hip of these guys. Once he's inside, then we can move in to try and make a play. But if you commit too early before he's committed inside and he bounces back out, then there will be significant gains made and you will end up being on the bench. We are a contained player, run first every play. All right, so that's key, who we're supposed to be looking at and what we're supposed to be reading in order to know what's happening. Next, let's get to responsibility. Our primary responsibility is to contain every single time, keeping contained. Secondary responsibility, if it's pass, we are covering the number 1 receiver. Remember, we count from the outside and work our way in. Now, situational responsibilities refer to if what the tackle is doing each time, how he's trying to block you. If we're up on a tight end and this person, you get an out block or a base block, so he's coming, he's trying to force you out, we fight pressure on the line of scrimmage, keeping our shoulders square, still being able to keep contained. But if he's trying to push you out, then more than likely the play is going to be inside because he's not wanting you to be where the play is. If we're in walk away and you get base blocks to your tackle, defensive tackle, then it's exactly what we just spoke about before, where you come up and sit on their hips on the outside until you know what they have, what play has developed. So we're sitting up on his hip as we're moving out. Now, after a base block, you might get a down block. A down block is where the end man on the line of scrimmage comes to either block the tackle or comes to get a linebacker. If we have a tight end, we have to, this keeps jumping up to the top, we have to, if we have a tight end, every single time we must get our hands on this man and squeeze him down. We hit him, we keep square to the line of scrimmage, and we slow him down. We give forward pressure to his shoulder pads so that he does not have free release to block our linebacker. That will destroy our defense if our linebackers are engaged with somebody who has a free release to block them. After a base block or a down block, there's another type of block called a reach block. If they try and get to your outside shoulder, they're probably running outside with the ball. We are a defensive end, so we never can allow that. We get our hands on them, we engage physically, and we work to the outside on the line of scrimmage, keeping our shoulders square and making the ball be forced back inside. If you get an outside release by the tight end, we work with that man. We hit him, we engage him with our hands, and then we work with that person to keep him from passing, from catching the pass. And if we're in walk away and the tackles give a pass block, then we read pass, we take our read step, and we open up. We take our read step, and we open up. We are a number 1 receiver responsibility. So we take a read step, we ignore number 2. Our corners and safeties are working on that. read step, and we drop underneath number 1. 12 yards is the deepest that we go. Once they leave 12 yards, we square back up and look for any backs out of the backfields or crossing tight ends. If there are 2 stop routes, then we will jump on the closest one because the corner will get number 1 for us. That would be the situation where we don't have number 1. Other than that, we always have the receiver number 1. When you have speed option, that means there's no fullback dive. They're just going outside right now. We are a pitch to quarterback player. Normally, we are a quarterback player. But because they are in speed option right now, we have to be able to get that pitch man because there's no one for him. Some calls, stunts, and blitzes. When our linebackers call right or left, strong or weak, or any 40 or 50 calls, those do not apply to us. We line up if there's 3 men in a 9 technique, and if there's only 2 men to our side in a walk away. That's our rule that we use. Here are some calls that do apply to defensive ends. Raven or eagle. These are called contain rushes because as you are rushing, you're not just going in full steam. You are trying to get the ball carrier, but if you have a back that flares out, you have to peel off and go to it in case the quarterback is going to toss the ball to him. That's eagle and raven. Raven would be the right end because it starts with an R. Eagle would be the left end because it starts with an E. Slide with either a rat or a lion stunt. Slide is the call that moves us into a 6 technique. That means head up on the tight end. Normally we are on the outside of the tight end. In a 9 technique, head up is 6 technique. So this would be, for example, slide right, which caused us to move to the right, and we are head up. If you also get a rat call, that makes the right 2 linemen stunt, and a lion makes the left 2 linemen stunt. So in this case that we have drawn up on this side, since those are the left 2 linemen, that'd be the lion. And so we stunt inside, and the tackle stunts outside. And here's some special formations. The bunch, where you have all the receivers bunched up in that area, we are outside shoulder of number 2. So here's the number 2 man. Remember, we count from the outside in. 1, 2, 3. We are outside shoulder of that person, and we are attacking aggressively. We want to hold up number 2 on the line of scrimmage. When we are in slot, so that means there's a guard and a tackle, 2-man side with a back off the line. That's a slot. This will depend from week to week. If we play a team that is strong in the wing T, we will more than likely stay in 4x4 walk away. In some cases, however, when you have a slot player, we are mirroring the slot to his outside. If he's a yard off the line, we're a yard off the line. If he's 2 yards off, we're 2 yards off. So that will be a week-to-week basis call. The wing is when you have 1, 2, 3 linemen and a man off the field. In that case, we are in a 9 technique on the tight end, and we engage him. Since they have the receiver up, the corner is out here with contain, so that lets us be loose to attack aggressively and keep our gap. Finally, we have the defensive Springwoods High School mission. It's in the acronym STATE. We stop the run. We are a run-first stopping defense. That's it, but we still want to be sound against the pass. Whatever the offense does best, that's what we want to stop. We want to take away. We want them to be forced to do what they are second best at and third best at. Every single play, we want to play aggressive and play fast. We want to be a great tackling team, and we want to show effort and enthusiasm in everything we do. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Good luck.